Falcons! Did you know that November was Native American Heritage Month? Since August 3rd, 1990. November is a time to recognize and celebrate the culture and traditions and achievements of the nation's original inhabitants and other descendants, as well as the accomplishments of indigenous movements. But now that we're in December, let's continue learning and celebrating about Native American organizations and movements.
What image or words come to your mind when you think about Native Americans? You probably think about teepees and bands of hunter-gatherers and centuries-old massacres. But Native American people were and still are so much more than the two-dimensional portrayals you've heard about from your textbooks.
November 20th, 1969 marked the beginning of the occupation of Alcatraz Island by Native American activists. Around 90 Native people occupied the island for 19 months in an attempt to reclaim the land, quote, for all Native Americans. They demanded that Alcatraz be returned to Native Americans, along with other reparations for stolen land and mistreatment, and that funding be provided to establish a cultural complex and a university on the island. The proclamation of the Indians of all tribes stated that they would, quote, purchase said Alcatraz Island for $24 in glass beads and red cloth, a precedent set by the white man's purchase of a similar island about 300 years ago. This was a callback to the purchase of Manhattan Island by settlers. They also stated that Alcatraz was perfectly suited to be a reservation because of its lack of running water, bad soil, lack of health care, and its status as a place where people are imprisoned and kept dependent on others, referencing its use as a prison from 1934 to 1963. These declarations made by the activists were meant to criticize the U.S. government's treatment of Native people throughout history and establish Native people's right to land, resources, and equitable treatment. Although the protesters on Alcatraz were escorted off the island by federal marshals in 1971, ending the occupation, Alcatraz had an incredible impact on Native American activism. In the years following the occupation, several other occupations of federal facilities and land were staged, as well as protests and calls upon the government to improve the treatment of Native people. According to activist Adam Fortunate Eagle, quote, the most lasting result of Alcatraz may have been the growth of Indian pride throughout the country.
A more recent example of Native American resistance is the Dakota Access Pipeline protests. The Dakota Access Pipeline protest taking place on the Standing Rock Reservation that lies across the border between North and South Dakota was a 10-month-long protest against the construction of the Dakota Access Pipeline, which is a 1,172-mile-long oil pipeline. The pipeline was originally supposed to cross the Missouri River near the capital of North Dakota, but it was then moved over concerns that an oil spill at the location would have wrecked the state capital's drinking water. Their solution was to instead direct the pipeline in the direction of the Standing Rock Reservation through lands containing sacred and historical Lakota sites and cross under nearby Lake Oahe, the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe's primary water source. The Standing Rock Sioux Tribe organized runs, horseback rides, and marches. Many supported the movement and traveled to join the year-long, tireless No Dapple movement at Sacred Stone Camp on the Standing Rock Reservation. The Obama administration eventually denied essential permits for the pipeline, which was a major victory for the movement. But then after the 2016 election, Donald Trump signed the executive order to expedite construction in his first week of office. Though these protests took place from 2015 to 2016, legal battles concerning the pipeline as well as from the protests are still ongoing.
Each day is a risk of more than 500,000 barrels of oil poisoning our most precious water source.
Says the chairwoman of the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe, quote, the fight is not over. The fight for our water, for the unborn, and for Mother Earth.
Since the beginning of colonization, Native people have been resisting.
They're physically fighting back, holding on to cultural practices and language, protest, and political action. Native people have been able to survive and thrive despite every attempt to erase them.
Native American Heritage Month has passed, but we can continue to learn and celebrate indigenous cultures and movements year-round.
Look for Native American businesses to support, rather than buying Native-inspired products from white-owned establishments.
Take every chance to get to question the history you've been taught and seek out the true history of Native Americans in the U.S.
Thank you so much for learning with us with this video. Make sure to keep following STAAR for more opportunities.